Israel's blockade of Gaza has come under sharp international criticism after the May 31st Israeli military raid on an international aid flotilla. 9 pro-Palestinian activists were killed. All week, there was intense debate over whether or not the Israeli military used excessive force or was acting in self-defense. That's an argument that could go on indefinitely and might take away from an important and underreported part of the Middle East conflict, the blockade itself. Let's rewind to 2006. Hamas wins the election in Gaza. As you may know, its political charter calls for the destruction of Israel. Israel refuses to recognize Hamas as a legitimate leader of the Palestinian people. Military exchanges intensify between Palestinian militants in Gaza firing rockets into Israel, and Israeli forces using artillery and airstrikes too. A little more than a year later, June 2007, in what it says is an effort to prevent Hamas from arming itself and building weaponry, Israel seals its border with Gaza. It prohibits almost everything from entering its territory, including fuel, building materials, medical supplies, luxury foods, and household items. Egypt seals Gaza's other land border, also refusing to recognize Hamas. 3 years later, Gaza's 1.5 million people live on less than a quarter of the imported goods they did in 2005. The Israeli government has refused to disclose information regarding restricted items. In other words, there is no comprehensive list. And while humanitarian organizations have been able to bring in staple foods and medical supplies, other items are approved on a case-by-case basis. Canned meat and tuna, yes, but no canned fruit. Mineral water, okay, but no fruit juice. Coffee and tea, yes, but no chocolate. Israel says it allows 15,000 tons of humanitarian aid into Gaza every week. However, 80% of Gazan households rely on some kind of food aid. 40% of the population is unemployed, up from 30% before the sanctions. The Israeli military operation of late 2008 and early 2009 destroyed thousands of homes, and the UN says the restrictions on building supplies, in particular cement, have made reconstruction almost impossible. But Israeli officials maintain that Hamas could use cement for military purposes. Israel has signaled that it's contemplating new ways of allowing needed goods into Gaza, but it has also vowed to stop weapons from entering Gaza on aid ships. Critics say the blockade is not, in fact, weakening Hamas. Goods are still coming in on the black market through Egypt via a system of tunnels, and that market is controlled and taxed by Hamas. For Israel, any new approach to Gaza must take into account the return of an Israeli soldier held captive by Hamas for the last 4 years. Says Israeli President Shimon Peres, if you want to lift the Gaza blockade, then abandon your way of terror. Recognize Israel, and let's begin a peace treaty.